Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SJQRadio Morning Show. My name is Jack Azula here, and I'm here with Quinten and Julian Green. And today we have some controversial topics we're going to discuss. First being about Russell Westbrook. Recently, Russell Westbrook has been put on the trade block by the GM of the Thunder, Sam Presti, and we think we have some ideal locations for him for a home for him next year. Julian, why don't you start?
Well, I really think the Milwaukee Bucks are a strong candidate to take Russell Westbrook, because you're looking at a player, Eric Bledsoe, who he's a pretty good point guard, but if you want to make that next jump, you cannot just have Giannis carrying the team. You need somebody else who can drive and score.
Quinten?
I think the Miami Heat are a pretty ideal fit for Russell Westbrook. I think Jimmy Butler by himself is not going to be enough for them to beat out some of the better teams in the East, like the Philadelphia 76ers and the Milwaukee Bucks. So I think if they pair Westbrook and Jimmy Butler together, I think they could become a top four, maybe even a top three team in the East, and that could really put them over the hump.
You know, I think a team that would really fit Russell Westbrook is the Minnesota Timberwolves. And a swap between him and Andrew Wiggins, I think that would really benefit both teams, because Andrew Wiggins obviously was the number one pick a few years ago, and we've seen flashes of potential he's got, but I think with Karl Anthony Towns on that team, he really doesn't get to show his full potential. Think about what Russell Westbrook is. It's hard for him to fit with a lot of players, as he's really not an efficient player. He has a 50% true shooter percentage, which is below average. He's with Kevin Durant on his team, he was over 20% usage percentage. And as a point guard and having an elite player on your team like Kevin Durant, you should not be having the ball that much. He's also not top. He's not top 15 in offensive efficiency overall. Now, feel free to call in at 1-800-666-5748. Next topic we have here is NBA offseason. Who are the winners and who are the losers? Quinten, why don't you start?
I think a big winner is the Utah Jazz in the Western Conference with the acquisition of Mike Conley and the signing of Bojan Bogdanovic. I think they really put themselves in good position to compete for a top seed in the Western Conference now with Golden State's dynasty on hold. And I think what they struggled with big time last year was shooting and floor spacing with Derek Favors at the four. Obviously, he's not a great perimeter shooter, and Gobert at the five, and Ricky Rubio at the one is not a great perimeter shooter either. So they brought in better 3-point shooters now with the acquisitions of Connolly and Bogdanovic at the four. And you still have Joe Ingles, who's a really good 3-point shooter at the three, and now you can really see the floor spacing improve, and you could see Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert go to work. So I think that was a great acquisition of those two, and I think they're a top team in the West.
Julian?
Well, I think the real winner this offseason has to be the Boston Celtics. Now, many people look at it like Kyrie Irving, he left. It's a big loss, right? But you're looking at a Celtics team that brought in Kemba Walker, who averaged right around 25 points a game last season. So everybody here knew that Kyrie was going to leave. So adding a player like Kemba Walker onto the team really helps preserve that team skill, and without Kyrie Irving, there's a better team chemistry.
Now, there were many winners of the offseason: the Brooklyn Nets, the Utah Jazz, even a team like the Philadelphia 76ers, who, in my opinion, are the biggest winners of the offseason. Yes, they lose a player in Jimmy Butler, who's an elite player, elite defender. However, having a player like Josh Richardson come in a sign and trade, I think the Elton Brand couldn't have done a better job. Also bringing in a veteran presence in Al Horford, who really glues together a team, as we saw in Boston. I think that's really going to be beneficial to their success. Looks like we have a caller here, Danny Blomster from Russia. What's going on, Danny?
I love how the show is going so far. I love hearing about the NBA. This offseason has been so exciting. I'm wondering if you think any of these teams that have made a splash so far are going to continue to make another move, like the Clippers or the Nets, the Jazz or the Lakers, all these teams that have been really loud. Do you think anyone's going to try to set their team apart with another move?
Well, at this point in the offseason, there aren't many free agents left, quality ones. that being teams like the Clippers, teams like the Lakers really had really solid off seasons, and they're definitely a couple pieces away, in my opinion. I think the trade market's out there for a guy like on the Grizzlies, Jonas Valanciunas. I know he just re-signed with the Grizzlies, but I'm sure if the Grizzlies can get some young assets like from the Clippers, Landry Shamet, or from the Lakers, maybe like Kuzma, I think it could really help them.
Well, I think that kind of player that might be on the move is Russell Westbrook, as we talked about before. But I feel it really like the Knicks are going to make a move because the Knicks are kind of known for not really liking to be that horrible team. So I feel like the Knicks GM and Coach Fitzdale are going to really try and make a move to improve their record for next year.
I think that Steve Mills and Scott Perry, that would be the worst possible thing for them to do is to trade for Russell Westbrook. I know they struck out on Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving free agency, but they're finally going through a real rebuild now, and they added some good veterans on short-term deals. So all of them can become one-term deals because the second year is a team buyout, except for Julius Randle, who signed a 3-year with a 2-year with a 1-year team option at the end of that. But that would not be a smart move for the New York Knicks to try to go out and trade for Russell Westbrook. I think they should just ride with the young players, R.J. Barrett, Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, Lonzo Trier, see what they have, and then in future off seasons when they have the cap space and they're showing promise and maybe free agents start to want to come to this franchise, that's when they can make a big splash for a big time player.
So, Danny, thanks so much for calling.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Really appreciate it. Now on to our final topic of the day is underrated football teams from the NFL. I think the most underrated team in the entire league has to be the Green Bay Packers. Although the Packers are known for being a very good team and very solid, they have Aaron Rodgers, they have Devontae Adams, who was the top receiver last year. I think they can really turn around in terms of their record with chemistry and their new coach.
I also agree with the Packers. I think we obviously know how good that offense can be with Rodgers, Adams, and that really above-average offensive line. But the defense has been a problem for them in the past, and they made some key acquisitions in the offseason with Preston Smith, Zaire Smith, 2 outside linebackers who are going to really help their pass rush, and also in the secondary with Adrian Amos coming over from the Chicago Bears, one of the top safeties in football. I think he's going to make an immediate impact for that Green Bay Packers defense, and also rookie corner, second-year corner now, Jair Alexander. I think is going to make a pretty big step up from his rookie year, and I think he could become one of the top cover corners in all of football and quite soon. So I really like the Green Bay Packers as well.
Well, I think the Packers are not going to be as good as that. I feel like the Minnesota Vikings are really going under the radar. I know they had a very disappointing season last year, but the year before they were in the conference championship. They were right there to get a Super Bowl appearance. But they added Kirk Cousins last season, and I know he struggled, but if you look at through his history kind of in Washington, he is a great quarterback. I feel like he just had trouble adjusting to the system in Minnesota. So I really feel like if Kirk Cousins can get back on his A game, that the Minnesota Vikings are a big underdog to make the playoffs.
Thank you so much for watching this installment of SJQ. We really appreciate it. Always feel free to check us out on our website, sjq.com, and use the number we stated before. Thank you so much.